Okay, well, welcome everybody. I am hoping that you can hear and see us just fine without crazy echoes or anything. And today we're going to do just a live Q&A. We've been working through the first three modules of Misty's awesome course, Simplified Organization. And I am super lucky because Misty's one of my best friends, so I get to text her or call her whenever I have a question about what to do with my how to schedule my tasks or what I'm forgetting about my brain dump or whatever. But I wanted to share that with you all today because it's such a gift to me. So we've been getting a lot of questions coming in about different pieces of simplified organization as we're working through brain dumps and vocation statements, and so we thought we'd take a couple of weeks, and this week today we're doing this live Q&A, and then you have another week before we're going to move on to module 4, just so we can kind of all get really solid. So we're super glad you're here. Misty, did you want to say anything before we launch in with questions?
Well, it's been a lot of fun to see people's comments and questions in your series. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Very good. Okay, well, I'd like to start with one that that Heather sent in ahead of time, and she was asking about calendar systems, about the true purpose of calendars. She said, I don't have many out-of-house activities except for doctor's appointments and a few church activities. Many weeks I have nothing to write in my calendar, so I really don't look at it often. And so she was wondering, should she use a calendar even if she's sort of feeling like she doesn't really need, I think this is what she's asking, is, if she doesn't really feel like she needs one, is there a merit in just getting in the habit of using one? Or do you think...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, in the morning review process, where in the morning you get your index card ready, or, you just kind of prepare for the day ahead, one of the steps in there is checking your calendar. So, yeah, I think because I also don't have very many scheduled things other than routine, there are the things that happen every week or infrequently. So it's very tempting to say, well, I don't need to look at the calendar because, it's just a normal day. It's just a normal week. I don't have anything special that I have to keep tabs on. And that's gotten me into trouble quite a bit. So that's one of the reasons why now I look at it every morning, because there have been times where I've just gotten to that point where I think, oh, I don't need to look at it because I know what's on there, and then it turns out that I forgot something. So I still think it's a good habit, and maybe there are things that need to be on the calendar that that she's not putting on, maybe. Things, well, like this, of course, this webinar was on my calendar, so I'm not leaving the house, but it's still an appointment. Or I'm actually taking an online seminar that starts next week. And so even though that's not leaving the house, that's still something at a specific time, so it's on my calendar.
Right.
But the thing is, if there are those infrequent appointments, like doctor's appointments or dentist appointments that are scheduled out, we have dentist appointments in like 3 months or something. If I don't look at my calendar, they're going to sneak up on me, and I might miss them, or just get that day before call and go, oh, whoops, I didn't, I wasn't planning on that for that day, or, so just seeing what's coming up is a good habit, especially because life does start getting busy fast as kids get older. Suddenly you're like, oh, I have more things that have to happen.
Exactly.
So then you have to see that picture.
Like your school day on your calendar, or not things that happen routinely every day?
I've gone back and forth on that, and just this last year, I have school blocks on the calendar. So for a while, I had like math for an hour, and circle time for an hour, and I had it like hour by hour schedule on the calendar, and that didn't last long.
That was idealistic.
Yes. But you said the GTD way of keeping your calendar is that the calendar are your hard lines of the day. So the things that have to happen at a certain time. And if math doesn't happen at 9 a.m., well, it's still got to happen. So, so instead, but I was realizing I would look at my day on my calendar and say, oh, I don't have anything tomorrow. It's a free day. It's an open day, wide open day. And so I was looking at the calendar and thinking, I don't have to do anything. And it turns out that actually I did have to do school. So
Bummer.
I started putting it on the calendar just to remind myself that this is a commitment to my time that's there every day. So I have a block.
School, like I could even put it as an all-day event or something on my calendar if I'm using iCal or whatever, and that just reminds me that most of the day is going to be is school. So even if it's not from 9 to 2, because we never quite stay on schedule like that around here. Yeah. But even if we're not going to be able to stay on schedule like that, just having it show up in my calendar reminds me that I can't fit very much else in the day.
Right. Yeah. And also having it on there, like, so I have 9 to noon blocked off as school block. And then if I'm out making an appointment and I pull up my calendar, it says school block there, so it's a little reminder, like, are you sure you want to schedule something then? Yeah. Is that the best choice, or should you just say, no, that time's not actually available?
Okay, well, let's move on to, let's just skip ahead to task management. And that's where I'm at right now, is I'm still trying to get everything kind of loaded, as you know, from my 87 text to you last night at 10 o'clock. Trying to get my tasks all set up. So somebody wrote into me and did ask, they said they felt really overwhelmed by the idea of loading things into a task management app of some kind, which feels really overwhelming. Because we do that brain dump, like you talked about in the last time we met online, and we have this huge long list of stuff that we now have to do, and now we're supposed to be able to sort it into these different components. That's not even the hard part. I think the hardest part for me was trying to figure out what different categories to sort them into in the first place. So it does kind of feel like a steep learning curve. I'm wondering if you can just give us like the first 2 or 3 things to do to get moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is with the brain dump. Remember that is not a list of you don't have to do everything on that list. So that's the first thing, because the brain dump is the crazy in your head. You can let some of that go. So once it's on paper and you see it, let as much of it go as you can. But then as you're processing it, you do pull out the things that have to be done, and they go into your task management system as you create it, perhaps. And the thing is, the first thing would be to expect it to take a while for you to get it set up. It's not sit down for an hour and get it done sort of thing. There's getting tasks into it, there's figuring out the structure, then there's using it and getting used to it, tweaking it so it works with you and becomes natural and normal. So it's a process, and it'll take several weeks maybe to start getting things into it and get it set up, and where you start to feel comfortable seeing what it does or how to use it. And then even after that, like 6 months, a year, you'll be tweaking and figuring out how to work it so that it works with, just the way you work better. So that would be one of the first things, would be to not expect it to be something you should just, chop, chop, get done.
Right. Well, and one of the things, and I don't think we've gotten there in your course yet, but I just know you well enough to know that this is coming, is that you'll have even if you're using a task management app like Wunderlist or Todoist or anything like that, I know a lot of people are saying, well, but I like paper and pen, and I do too, and that's what I've been using for my kids' school charts is paper and pen. And so it comes later in your course, right, where you're talking about how to take the stuff from your to-do list and then write down today's task on a card. Is that right?
Yeah. If that wasn't in this one, it's in the next one.
It wasn't in this one. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be the index card I think that goes along with morning review. So yes, that's coming.
Okay, perfect.
And getting it set up this is where the task management and the vocation statements kind of start working together. And I just got it up last night. I just posted a post on this on Simplified Organization.
Oh, perfect.
So the vocation statements then kind of become your structure for the task management list. So,
okay.
So the top level organization, for example, I have home, which I combined roles there, so I don't have a separate like file folder holding wife distinct from mother, distinct from homemaker. You know, I kind of lumped all those together and have a home top level project folder. And then a church and a school as separate, and a blog as separate.
Okay.
So then those, where you're working out your vocations, that's kind of seeing what areas of responsibility that you have going on. And then that becomes your top level of task management organization. And then you can start filling in projects underneath that. To just get it rolling, put one project under each of those and just start filing them into the right role, and that's all. And then live with it for a while, add to it for a while, and figure out how it makes sense to break things up further than that.
Okay, so somebody just asked, do we have to use an app, or can we just wait on the pencil and paper lesson? But I think go ahead.
The task management, this is the module for getting your task management system. So you can do it with an app, or you can do it with pen and paper. There is what's coming up is the daily index card and a weekly sort of template to do a morning review and a weekly review. But to keep your running to-do list, the things that have to be done, if you would prefer pen and paper, there are options in the course. I have links to other people's paper systems so you want to find a paper system that works for you if you don't want to use an app. So the bullet journal is really cool. If you're a paper person, check out bulletjournal.com because it almost made me a paper person again.
I actually started organizing my commonplace book, which is where I just keep quotes and stuff from what I'm reading. I started using his index system because I'm like, wow, I actually can find what I'm looking for now. That's amazing.
That's a good idea. Yeah. There, then I can get my bullet journal fix in.
Yeah, because otherwise I'd have to flip through page after page knowing there was some quotes in that one book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look up here. Let's see, Kim said something, if I can find it. Here we go. She's been able to jump in on weeks 1 and 2, but she says now she feels stuck and paralyzed, almost like getting through each day seems like a big job, and adding organizational homework layer seems overwhelming. Do you have any suggestions? Maybe she needs more self-discipline, she says, but that might be another class. So what would your encouragement be to somebody who's like started and gotten a couple weeks in, but now is feeling like it's hard enough just to hang on through the day to add, more homework, which it does kind of feel like.
Right. Well, there are definitely times where, you just don't have enough energy to add another project on. And figuring out a task management system is another project. So, if you need to cut back and just focus on the most important things right now, or, you cut anything so that you stop feeling as overwhelmed, then just keep with the brain dump and wait. There'll come a time when you're ready. It doesn't have to be urgent. I think just having that brain dump idea where you're collecting things and you don't have to keep things in your head, and then a morning review where you just look at the calendar and you just think about your day and make a realistic list of, I'm only going to, if I could only do 3 things, what would those 3 things be? And stop feeling, and not feel like it's, 20 things that I have to do today, and that's where it starts feeling burdensome. But just say, no, I only have to do 3. What are those 3? Where if I do those, then it's a good day. It's probably like feed people, clothe people,
We
and read
must.
something to the people, then you're good.
And you're golden.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, also, and I'm working through the pace that we're through the course on my site at sort of a really fast pace. So
Yes.
keep in mind that Misty did not create the course to be done in 6 weeks, a module a week. She sort of advised me to do that because she knows me really well. And I kind of come out of the gate like 100 miles an hour and then fizzle if I don't go. So I am working at it really quickly, through it really quickly. But I do plan to keep revisiting, and I know, like, I've already marked a couple things that I know I'm going to have to come back and shore up.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah, a week per module is too fast.
yeah, okay.
It is. So don't feel like you should be able to keep up at one module per week. Yeah, so that's why it's self-paced, and I would expect more like a month per module would be still a pretty fast pace. So we just want to harness Sarah's enthusiasm.
Oh man.
We need to like be able to bottle it up in pill form. I would buy it.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, the thing is, you said in one of the first lessons, and I can't remember which one it was, but basically I think it might have been the very first lesson about how we kind of have this metaphor that, like, we think organization is something we do and it's done, and now we just are supposed to keep it up, like just maintain it. But it's not really like that. So even though I'm moving through the course really fast, I know that like 3 months from now, I'm not even that far actually down the road. I'm going to need to like come back and do a lot of it over and over. So I think a lot of it is about changing our outlook and realizing that it's not something that we just get done and now for the rest of our lives everything just runs smoothly.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yep. I wish, but it's more like practice. So organization is a practice, and that means you have to practice it. And practicing takes time and repetition, and you just keep at it even when it's boring and even when, you just have to keep going. So.
Okay, so Helen says, I haven't started yet. Where do I begin? This sounds like a lot. Oh, I think Pam might be answering that one in the chat box. We'll come back to you, Helen, in just a minute. Actually, at the very end, we will definitely come back to where to start if you're just at the beginning. And I've slowed down the pace on that we're working through it on my site, not just because people were telling me it was going too fast, but because I couldn't keep up with my own self, which is so there's definitely time to get a handle on things and to go one piece at a time, and we'll kind of show you where to start. At the very end, we'll ring back around to that. Misty, Karina says, I did the brain dump, but I have a bunch of random notes floating around. Some of the things appeared during the brain dump, and other things on the notes are still there, but they didn't show up when I did the brain dump. Can I add them to that original brain dump list as a way to get rid of all the random notes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, consolidate into one. Yeah, I often will like start a little brain dump, like maybe on the back of my index card, or if I'm out, I don't have, just if something needs to come out, then get it out and get it written down. And there's kind of two pieces. There's brain dump, which is like your first big get everything out of your head, but that never really stops. It keeps going. It's just smaller after you've had that big initial brain dump. Then I call it the habit of ubiquitous capture, and I didn't call it that. That's from GTD. So that means your paper or however you capture things is everywhere, and it's capture. You get it out of your head and onto the paper. So then anytime you get something out of your head and onto paper, then at some point you bring that into your overall paper list, or you put it into filing cabinet, whether that's actual filing cabinet or Evernote, or you put it into your task management system. So you have to get it into your system, but you keep capturing things anytime something comes to your head, you write it down, and then you get it into your system.
Okay. Another question we had, I'm just going to keep moving us along because I'm going to try and be respectful of everyone's time today. I would go over every time if you all let me. Oh, yeah, this is really good. Okay, so someone wrote to me saying that the house, trying to like, well, I think this was probably in response to module 2 where you have us set up some systems for things like laundry and
Yeah,
meals and that kind of thing. They
yeah.
said my house needs more like a major overhaul than a simple daily tidy. Fly Lady says start with the kitchen sink. Lila Lawler, and that's the blogger at likemotherlikedaughter.org. She says to start with the master bedroom. Where do you say we should start?
That's a good question. I have definitely, I've recovered the house from chaos. Like that's what I need more than the just recovering for a weekend or whatever. It's like I feel like I'm always recovering it from chaos. So that's one thing is that you're at that point, not to feel like, oh, I had this, or, I failed because I'm at this point, but it's like, all right, now I get to practice recovering chaos again. It's going, it's not a check it off and it's done thing again. It's, first trimester, new baby, Christmas, vacation, all these things can totally throw everything off. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty good now at recovering from chaos, but only because I've done it so many stinking times. So I wouldn't want to disagree with Lila. She has, if you have never seen her Reasonably Clean House series, that's amazing. That's a great place to start. She'll walk you through everything. The Fly Lady sink thing I never really understood because she doesn't even want you to ever put your dirty dishes in the sink.
Right.
And so I feel like a sink is for dirty dishes. So washing all your dishes and getting it all clear at the end of the day is fine, but when you're fixing 3 meals a day and feeding who knows how many people multiple meals a day, there are going to be dirty dishes, and I'm not sticking them under the sink so that my sink stays pristine. So I don't do the kitchen sink thing. And the bedroom is a great place to start because it would be a place easy to overlook. It's easy to let the master bedroom become a dumping ground. And then that's where you sleep and get ready for it. It's like that's your room. That's like, here's my problem. This is me. I'm a slob. So if you can get your bedroom cleaned up, then it's like saying, oh, look at this. Actually, maybe I don't have to be a slob. Maybe I'm not. But I know when I feel like the whole house is terrible, then where I usually start is the kitchen counters, especially the island. I have a kitchen island and a kitchen bar, so I pick one of those, usually the island because it's easier. But our kitchen bar generally collects a lot of clutter.
Well, you call it your kitchen island of sanity or something.
That's what I was just going to say, yeah. So
sorry,
I have a little island of sanity where this one little spot in the whole house is clean and washed. There are piles everywhere else, but I have an island of sanity. And that can kind of start, expanding. Then maybe the bar can become clear. And so just picking kind of one spot to say, okay, I'm going to start here and clear this and clean this, and then work at keeping that clean while I tackle another area. Mm-hmm. And I found that works better than trying to clean everything in one big go, and then it all goes away. All that cleaning work, gets undone and needs to be undone very quickly. But if you can clean and clear one area and then just work at maintaining that one area and kind of slowly spread out from there, it's okay for it to be a gradual process and to have like one special place where you say, this is my little island of sanity.
Well, I like that. I like having the same place be the one place that that you start with, because sometimes the hardest part is just starting, which you say all the time in your course. So, okay, so one question Helen has is, she says, my biggest problem is remembering the different things that are needed to get done each day. I need to turn off my notifications. Those keep dinging. Sorry. My biggest problem is remembering the different things that are needed to get done each day. Does the system help with this?
I hope so. So like routines, like the routine tasks, like what housekeeping things need to be done?
I'm thinking that's what she means, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be in Module 2 with the kind of starting with the kitchen, laundry, and meals. Those are like the big three. And so if you can start, and I don't really have like plan for tackling each of those, but I have, these are the big three, and here's your system, your task management, your places where you keep things. And then I have resources. I link to Lila's Reasonably Clean House series. Like, these people tell you ways to get from chaos to order. Here are a couple different people that have different ways. Find one that fits, your circumstances or your personality.
So I know one of the questions I was asking you last night, maybe this will help, is when we're setting up our task lists, where do like the daily things like making a bed or pulling meat out of the freezer for dinner, do those go on your task list or versus your calendar versus your daily card? Can you kind of give us a preview of like what that daily routine stuff looks like?
Yeah. In Paperless Home Organization, where that's my ebook where I walk you through setting up your systems digitally and not paper. I say in there to not let your routine tasks go into your task management system, so that your task management system only shows you like the unusual things, the things that pop up that like send a thank you card after the birthday, or I would probably put, if I was menu planning and menu planning a few weeks out, I have put on my task list, like soak the beans the night before on the right day so that it pops up, because that's not a routine sort of thing. But things like start the laundry load and make the bed and that sort of thing, if you start adding all of those into your task management system, then pretty soon you have 40 items every day on your task management system, and that's crazy making. And you realize, oh, that's why I'm tired at the end of the day. Actually, I'm doing a lot. So it might be a good exercise for a few days to put everything in there and just see, how,
that was my message to Misty last night was, so how many of these things should I be seeing like pop up in my to-do list? Because I'm pretty sure this is too many.
Yeah, so I've just been redoing my own task management system, just been switching over to OmniFocus from Remember the Milk. So I've been going through this all over again from scratch myself. And so I thought, well, this new system, I've been doing this for a while. I want to make sure and remember these things. So I'm just going to put everything in my task management system. And it's been like a week now, and then I'm like, I need to listen to my own advice. My little notification pops up, 30 things this morning. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
You're so optimistic. That's just being an optimist, I think.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, so I just did a little last call for questions in the chat box. So if you didn't see that, make sure you throw them in there. If we don't get to your question, we can tackle it. Next week, Misty's going to tackle any questions we didn't cover. But I just want to make sure you get your questions in so she knows what to answer. But I think maybe we can sneak in a couple more minutes. So, Misty, what is one thing you do every day that makes you feel peaceful? It's a good one.
Drinking my coffee in the morning before the kids get up.
With half and half in it?
With half and half, thank you very much. I tried a whole 30, and mine was a whole 18. That was 18 days without half and half was long enough.
Day 29.
Almost, you're almost there.
I know.
And I am also a reformed bed maker. I grew up, and for a long time, like 30 years long, refused to make my bed because it's a waste of time and effort when you're just going to unmake it again. So reading about home management and productivity and all of that is like one of my hobbies. And I tell you, every single time I read a book, they said, make your bed. It's like I couldn't get away from it. So I finally decided, well, I'm going to actually try it. And so it's actually true. Making your bed is worth it. Just a little, it's another island of sanity It's a spread out, clean, organized little space. So.
Yes, definitely. I've gotten out of the habit lately. I think because I'm usually trying to figure out how I'm going to bring, because the twins are still in our room, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the twins down the stairs safely.
Yeah.
Once I get them out of the crib, and then they're just tearing. Yeah. I used to make my bed every day, but I really miss it because actually, even at the end of the day, when I climb, there's just something so calming about climbing into a bed that's been made. So. Okay, I think, oh, candles. Somebody said lighting candles. That's good.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think we better wrap things up just so I can keep my promise that I said it would only be 30 minutes. If you have any other questions at all, feel free to email me, Sarah@amongstlovelythings.com, or Misty at simplifiedorganization.com.
Oh, no, that one doesn't work, actually. That one never got set up.
Okay, which email should they send to you?
Misty at simplifiedpantry.com.
Okay, and I will be sending you all an email just reminding you of different links so that you didn't have to keep track of anything we might have. I see some links in the chat box, so making sure those are all collected for you. And then Helen, if you want to get started, and anybody else who wants to get started at the very beginning and you just don't know where to start, I think the very best place to start is with Misty's free email course on doing a brain dump. And so I will put a link in the chat box for you. So you can see where that's at, and then that will also be in the email. I'll send you an email and just sort of remind you where that's at too, because that's great. She sends an email every, is it 2 days, Misty?
Yeah, it's every 2 days.
Yeah.
With more prompts to just get your juices flowing for what needs to come out of your head and get put onto paper.
Perfect. And I am adding that to the chat box now, maybe. There we go. Yeah, it's a great place to start, and that'll get you on the right road. And then I'm still going to be having stuff going on every Saturday on the blog through February, pretty much. So Misty will be there next week answering more questions, and then the following week, so the first Saturday in February, is when we will tackle Module 4. But remember that you don't really have to keep up with module by module. If you just come and hang out, we're chatting about all kinds of stuff about the whole process in the comments, and and it might just give you a good peek at what's coming next. So if you're feeling a little bit crazy because you have this huge brain dump and you're not sure how this is going to make your life feel better, I mean, hanging out with us each week as we're talking module by module may make you feel a little bit more sane, because there is something coming that's going to help you work through the muddle of it all.
Yeah, and you can ask questions in the comments that are about, like, it doesn't have to be about that module. You know, you can ask any question in the comments.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for coming, everybody. I know how hard it is to carve out time to be here right when we're here, but it's so much fun. I wish we were all together so I could give you a big hug around your necks, but this will have to do. Thank you, Misty. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.